Hey, Cancer family, come sit with me for a moment because what I'm about to share with you today is going to shift something deep inside your soul. I've been feeling this pull all morning to do a reading, specifically about how your ancestors are literally trying to communicate with you right now about your spiritual journey, and the cards I just pulled are absolutely mind-blowing. You know how Cancer energy is so naturally connected to family lineage and emotional inheritance? Well, your ancestors have been working overtime lately to send you messages about unlocking your spiritual potential, and they're using some pretty incredible ways to get your attention. I'm talking about dreams that feel too real, sudden knowing about things you've never learned, and this magnetic pull towards certain spiritual practices that seem to call to your very DNA. Let me start by saying that the energy I'm picking up around Cancer right now is absolutely electric when it comes to ancestral connection. There's this beautiful thread that runs through your family line, and it's not just about genetics or shared traits. I'm talking about genuine spiritual gifts that have been passed down through generations, and Cancer, you're the chosen one in your lineage to finally unlock and use these gifts in a big way. The first card that came through for you is the Four of Pentacles. And I know what you're thinking because this card usually gets a bad rap for being about holding on to things too tightly. But what your ancestors are showing me through this card is so much deeper than that. They're telling you that you've been unconsciously guarding something precious that they left for you, like a spiritual treasure chest that you've been protecting without even realizing what's inside. Think about it, Cancer. You know how you have this natural instinct to protect your emotional space and create safe containers for yourself and others. That's not just a personality trait, that's an ancestral gift. Your great-great-grandmother, who you never met but who had the same intuitive knowing that you do, she's been whispering to you through dreams about the importance of creating sacred space. The Four of Pentacles here is showing me that you've been subconsciously building this beautiful spiritual foundation, brick by brick, lifetime by lifetime, through your family line. Your ancestors are telling you that every time you've felt that pull to retreat into your shell, every time you've needed to process emotions in solitude, every time you've created that cozy sanctuary space in your home, you've been following ancient wisdom that runs through your bloodline. They're saying that this natural tendency toward emotional protection isn't something to overcome. It's something to honor because it's preparing you for the spiritual work you're meant to do. I'm getting chills because I can literally feel your great-grandmother's presence right now, and she's showing me how she used to light candles and create sacred space in her own home, even if she couldn't name it as spiritual practice back then. She's telling you that the way you naturally create nurturing environments isn't just about comfort, it's about holding space for spiritual energy to flow and grow. The Four of Pentacles is also revealing something beautiful about how you've been protecting your intuitive gifts without realizing it. Your ancestors are saying that every time someone has tried to dismiss your emotional intelligence or your psychic knowing, you've instinctively pulled back and protected these gifts rather than letting them be diminished. They're so proud of you for this, Cancer, because you've kept the flame alive even when the world tried to tell you that your sensitivity was weakness. The next card that literally jumped out of the deck for you is the Hermit. And Cancer. This is where your ancestral wisdom reading gets absolutely fascinating. Your ancestors are showing me that there have been multiple mystics, healers, and spiritual seekers in your family line, and many of them had to practice their gifts in secret or in solitude because of the times they lived in. The Hermit card is revealing that you carry the DNA of spiritual seekers who spent lifetimes walking the inner path, learning to trust their intuition above all else, and developing profound wisdom through quiet contemplation. Your natural Cancer tendency toward introspection and deep emotional processing isn't just a personality quirk, it's an ancestral spiritual practice that's been refined over generations. I'm seeing this beautiful image of an ancestor, maybe several generations back, who used to spend hours in quiet meditation or prayer, not because they were taught to do it, but because their soul naturally craved that deep inner connection. They're telling you that when you feel called to withdraw from the world and go deep into your own inner landscape, you're following an ancient pattern that your family line has been perfecting for centuries. Your ancestors are revealing through the hermit that your spiritual growth isn't meant to happen in group settings or through following someone else's prescribed path. They're showing me that you have this incredible gift for finding profound wisdom in solitude, for receiving downloads and insights when you're alone with your thoughts and feelings, and for developing your own unique spiritual language that speaks directly to your soul. The lantern that the hermit carries in traditional tarot imagery? Your ancestors are telling me that represents the inner light that's been passed down through your family line. Every Cancer ancestor who trusted their intuition, despite being told they were too emotional, every family member who had prophetic dreams or healing abilities, every relative who just knew things without being able to explain how, they've all contributed to the brightness of the spiritual lantern you're now carrying. But here's what's absolutely incredible about the hermit showing up in your reading right now. Your ancestors are telling you that your period of spiritual solitude and inner seeking is about to shift into something much more active and outward focused. They're saying that all those years of going within, all that time spent processing emotions and developing your intuitive abilities in private, it's been preparing you to step into a role as a spiritual guide for others. The third card that came through with such powerful energy is the Seven of Cups. And Cancer, this is where your reading takes a really interesting turn. Your ancestors are showing me that you've been overwhelmed lately by all the different spiritual paths and practices calling to your attention, and you might be feeling confused about which direction to take your spiritual growth. But here's the beautiful message your ancestors have about the Seven of Cups energy you're experiencing. They're telling you that this isn't confusion, it's abundance. You're being shown multiple spiritual paths because you have the rare gift of being able to synthesize wisdom from many different traditions and create something uniquely your own. I'm getting this incredible vision of an ancestor who was a natural healer, someone who intuitively knew how to combine different folk remedies and spiritual practices to help people in their community. They're telling you that your Cancer nature gives you this amazing ability to feel into what works and what doesn't, to take the best from different spiritual traditions and weave them together in a way that serves your highest good. Your ancestors are revealing that the overwhelm you might be feeling about spiritual choices isn't because you're supposed to pick just one path. They're showing me that you're meant to be a spiritual bridge builder, someone who can help others see how different wisdom traditions actually complement each other rather than compete with each other. The Seven of Cups is also highlighting something beautiful about your relationship with ancestral wisdom specifically. Your family line includes people from different spiritual backgrounds, different cultural traditions, maybe even different religious practices, and instead of seeing this as confusing or conflicting, your ancestors want you to see it as rich spiritual inheritance. They're telling you that you don't have to choose between honoring your grandmother's Catholic prayers and your own attraction to moon rituals and crystal healing. You don't have to pick between the meditation practice that speaks to your soul and the family traditions that ground you in your roots. Your ancestors are actually encouraging you to weave all of these influences together into a spiritual practice that's authentically yours. I'm feeling this incredible emotional energy around the Seven of Cups, like your ancestors are almost crying with joy because, finally, you're at a point in your spiritual evolution where you can honor all parts of your heritage, instead of feeling like you have to reject pieces of your family's spiritual legacy to find your own path. The fourth card that practically flew out of the deck is the Knight of Wands. And Cancer, this is where your ancestors want to talk to you about taking action with your spiritual gifts. I know this might seem surprising because Knights of Wands energy can feel pretty intense and fire forward for sensitive Cancer energy, but your ancestors are showing me something really beautiful here. They're telling you that there's a warrior spirit that runs through your family line, but it's not the kind of warrior energy that fights external battles. It's the kind of brave spirit that's willing to fight for spiritual truth, to stand up for intuitive knowing even when the logical world says you're crazy, and to protect and defend the sacred wisdom that's been entrusted to your care. Your ancestors are revealing that you carry the DNA of people who took significant risks to preserve spiritual knowledge, who were brave enough to practice their gifts even when it wasn't socially acceptable, and who passed down wisdom traditions despite facing persecution or ridicule. The Knight of Wands is showing me that it's time for you to tap into that ancestral courage and start taking bold action with your spiritual abilities. I'm seeing this beautiful vision of an ancestor, maybe a great-great-aunt or distant relative, who was known in her community as someone people came to for guidance and healing, even though she never had any formal training or recognition. She just trusted her gifts and used them fearlessly to help others. Your ancestors are telling you that you have that same brave spirit, that same willingness to trust your abilities and put them to use in service of something bigger than yourself. The Knight of Wands is also revealing that your spiritual growth is about to accelerate in a major way. Your ancestors are showing me that all the quiet inner work you've been doing, all the solitary spiritual seeking and emotional processing, it's been building toward a moment when you're going to feel called to share your gifts more boldly with the world. But here's what I love about how your ancestors are presenting the Knight of Wands energy to you. They're not asking you to become someone you're not or to adopt a spiritual persona that feels foreign to your Cancer nature. Instead, they're showing you how to channel warrior energy through your natural gifts of emotional intelligence, intuitive knowing, and nurturing wisdom. Your ancestors are telling you that your version of spiritual courage looks like trusting your psychic downloads even when they don't make logical sense, like offering comfort and guidance to others through your natural empathic abilities, and like being willing to speak up about spiritual truths that your heart knows to be real, even if your mind can't prove them scientifically. The fifth card that came through with absolutely stunning energy is the Nine of Pentacles and Cancer. This is where your ancestors want to celebrate with you, because they're showing me that you're about to step into a level of spiritual mastery and independence that your family line has been building toward for generations. The Nine of Pentacles traditionally represents self-sufficiency, material abundance, and the fruits of disciplined effort. But in the context of your ancestral wisdom reading, it's representing something much more profound. Your ancestors are showing me that you're developing a level of spiritual self-reliance and inner knowing that allows you to trust your own connection to divine wisdom without needing constant external validation or guidance. I'm getting this incredible image of you standing in your own spiritual power, surrounded by the beautiful garden of wisdom and gifts that your ancestors have helped you cultivate. They're telling me that every family member who trusted their intuition, every relative who had healing abilities, every ancestor who maintained faith despite difficult circumstances, they've all contributed seeds to the spiritual garden you're now tending. Your ancestors are revealing through the Nine of Pentacles that your spiritual growth has reached a point where you can harvest the wisdom they've been planting in your consciousness your entire life. They're showing me that you're ready to step into a role as a wisdom keeper, someone who can help others connect with their own ancestral gifts and spiritual inheritance. But what's absolutely beautiful about how your ancestors are presenting the Nine of Pentacles energy is that they're showing you this isn't about spiritual pride or thinking you're better than others. Instead, it's about recognizing that you've developed enough spiritual maturity and inner stability to be a reliable source of guidance and support for people who are earlier in their spiritual journey. Your ancestors are telling me that the Nine of Pentacles represents a level of emotional and spiritual independence that allows you to offer help to others without depleting yourself, to share your gifts without losing your center, and to hold space for other people's growth without taking on their problems as your own. I'm feeling this incredible gratitude from your ancestral line because they're showing me that you represent the fulfillment of dreams and hopes that many of them carried but couldn't fully manifest in their own lifetimes. They're telling you that your spiritual success is their success, that every breakthrough you have in connecting with divine wisdom ripples backward through time and heals wounds that have existed in your family line for generations. The sixth card that absolutely demanded to be pulled is the Star. And Cancer, I'm literally getting emotional because this card is showing me the most beautiful vision of your spiritual destiny and how your ancestors have been guiding you toward it your entire life. The Star card is revealing that you are meant to be a beacon of hope and healing in this world, but not in some grandiose, external way. Your ancestors are showing me that your version of being a spiritual star is about radiating the kind of gentle, nurturing light that helps other people remember their own divine nature and connection to ancestral wisdom. I'm seeing this incredible vision of you as a bridge between the spiritual realm and the physical world, someone who can help other people understand that their deceased loved ones are still very much present and actively involved in their lives. Your ancestors are telling me that your natural Cancer sensitivity to emotional and psychic energy makes you a perfect conduit for ancestral messages and guidance. The Star is also revealing something absolutely stunning about how your own spiritual journey is inspiring healing in your family line, both for ancestors who have passed and for living relatives. Your ancestors are showing me that every step you take toward spiritual growth creates ripple effects that heal generational trauma and open up new possibilities for everyone connected to your bloodline. They're telling me that your willingness to embrace your intuitive gifts and develop your spiritual abilities is literally changing the trajectory of your family's spiritual evolution. When you trust a psychic download, when you follow your intuitive guidance, when you use your empathic abilities to help others, you're not just serving your own spiritual growth, you're serving your entire ancestral line. Your ancestors are revealing through the Star that they've been sending you signs and synchronicities to help you remember that you're not alone in your spiritual journey, that you're part of an incredible team of spiritual guides and wisdom keepers who are always available to support and guide you. I'm getting this beautiful message that every time you see repeated number sequences, every time you find feathers or coins in unexpected places, every time you have a dream that feels too real to be just a dream, that's your ancestors letting you know they're right there with you, cheering you on and helping you navigate your spiritual path. The Star card is also showing me that your spiritual growth is about to take a quantum leap forward, because you're finally ready to fully accept and embrace the gifts that your ancestors have been trying to help you develop. They're telling me that you've done the inner work, you've processed the emotions, you've developed the spiritual foundation, and now you're ready to shine your light in the world in a much more visible and impactful way. But here's what I love about how your ancestors are presenting the Star energy to you. They're showing me that your version of spiritual stardom isn't about becoming famous or building a huge following. It's about becoming so aligned with your authentic spiritual gifts that you naturally attract the people who need exactly the kind of healing and guidance that you're meant to provide. Now, Cancer, as I'm sitting here with these 6 incredibly powerful cards spread out in front of me, I'm getting this overwhelming sense from your ancestors that they want me to share something really important with you about the timing of this spiritual activation that's happening in your life right now. Your ancestors are telling me that this isn't random timing. They're showing me that you're in a special window of opportunity where the veil between the physical and spiritual worlds is particularly thin for you, and they're able to communicate with you and guide you in ways that might not have been possible even just a few months ago. They're revealing that your recent spiritual experiences, the dreams that have felt more vivid than usual, the sudden knowing about things you've never studied, the pull towards certain spiritual practices or tools, all of this has been orchestrated by your ancestral team to help you step into your role as a spiritual bridge and healer. I'm feeling this incredible urgency from them, not in a panicked way, but in an excited way, like they've been waiting lifetimes for you to reach this level of spiritual readiness, and they're absolutely thrilled that the time has finally come for you to fully embrace your gifts and start using them in service of others. Your ancestors are telling me that the Four of Pentacles energy showed you how you've been protecting your spiritual gifts. The Hermit revealed how you've been developing your inner wisdom. The Seven of Cups highlighted the abundance of spiritual paths available to you. The Knight of Wands called you to take courageous action with your abilities. The Nine of Pentacles celebrated your spiritual maturity and independence. And the Star illuminated your destiny as a beacon of hope and healing. But they're also showing me that these cards aren't just describing what's happening, they're actually providing you with a roadmap for how to continue developing your spiritual gifts in partnership with your ancestral guides. They want you to understand that every step of your spiritual journey going forward can be supported and enhanced by consciously connecting with the wisdom and energy of your family line. Your ancestors are revealing that they've been preparing you for a specific type of spiritual work that involves helping other people heal their relationships with their own family lines and ancestral wisdom. They're showing me that your natural Cancer gifts of emotional intelligence, intuitive knowing, and nurturing wisdom make you perfectly suited to help others process generational trauma and connect with the loving guidance of their own deceased relatives. They're telling me that as you continue to develop your spiritual abilities, you're going to find that you have a special talent for helping people understand that death doesn't end relationships. It just changes the form of communication. Your ancestors want you to know that they're going to help you develop this gift because there are so many people in the world who need to understand that their loved ones who have passed are still very much involved in their lives and available for guidance and support. I'm getting this beautiful vision of you facilitating healing conversations between living people and their ancestors, not necessarily through formal mediumship, although that might be part of your path, but through helping people recognize and interpret the signs and messages that their loved ones are already sending them. Your ancestors are showing me that your Cancer superpower of creating safe emotional space is exactly what people need when they're processing grief and learning to communicate with deceased family members. They're telling you that your natural ability to hold space for intense emotions without being overwhelmed by them is a rare and precious gift that's desperately needed in the world right now. As I'm feeling into the energy of your reading, Cancer, I'm getting this incredible sense that your ancestors want you to start paying attention to the dreams you have over the next few weeks, because they're planning to visit you with some very specific guidance about the next steps in your spiritual development. They're telling me that they're going to show you symbols, images, or scenarios in your dreams that will help you understand which of your spiritual gifts they want you to focus on developing first. They're also going to start sending you clearer signs in your waking life about opportunities to use your abilities in service of others. Your ancestors are revealing that they've been strategically placing certain people in your path, people who need exactly the kind of spiritual guidance and healing that you're meant to provide. They want you to start paying attention to the conversations that seem to happen effortlessly, the moments when people naturally start sharing their deepest struggles or spiritual questions with you, because these are opportunities for you to practice using your gifts in a gentle, organic way. They're showing me that your spiritual work isn't going to require you to drastically change your life or adopt some completely different persona. Instead, it's going to unfold naturally through the relationships and situations that are already part of your daily experience. Your ancestors want you to trust that they'll continue to guide you toward the right opportunities and the right people at exactly the right times. Cancer, as this reading comes to a close, I want you to know that the love and pride I'm feeling from your ancestral line is absolutely overwhelming. They're showing me that you represent the culmination of countless lifetimes of spiritual seeking, healing work, and wisdom development, and they couldn't be more thrilled with how you're stepping into your role as the keeper of your family's spiritual legacy. Your ancestors want you to remember that you're never alone in your spiritual journey, that every challenge you face and every breakthrough you experience is supported by an incredible team of loving guides who have walked similar paths and learned similar lessons in their own lifetimes. They're telling you that the most important thing you can do right now is to trust the process, to honor the timing of your spiritual unfoldment, and to remain open to the beautiful and sometimes surprising ways that they'll continue to communicate with you and guide you forward. The cards have shown us that you're ready for this next level of spiritual service, Cancer, and your ancestors couldn't be more excited to support you as you begin to share your gifts with the world in bigger and more impactful ways. Trust your intuition, honor your sensitivity, and know that every step you take towards spiritual growth is blessed and guided by the loving wisdom of those who came before you.